You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't understand your own psychology and your own mental patterns, you're not going to go very far, to be honest. In my personal, honest opinion. And most people never stop to figure out where they stand in these different types of patterns, but they will quit before they can actually dive deeper into this kind of stuff. So how do you actually identify these psychological triggers, and how do you use them to your advantage instead of letting them control you? And most people will ignore this because everyone is trying to essentially look up how to trade. People always are on the hunt for how to trade because they think that that's what they need to do, right? They need to learn how to trade. But no one out there actually teaches people how to become a trader. Right, the learning curve to becoming a trader is it's different for everybody, but it can really, really hurt you when you're learning from someone that has made more money from their course than they have trading themselves. But anyway, why does everybody obsess over strategy, entries, and indicators in the next setup? Why does everybody preach this is the best strategy, this fair value gap, this fucking whatever they say? But nobody wants to sit with this uncomfortable question of why do I keep making the same mistakes? Because if you're watching this, you're probably making mistakes, or you just like listening to me talk. Whatever it is. It's easier to blame the market and blame the strategy, blame the broker, rather than looking inwards on yourself. And this is the number one trait that I see every real successful trader that I know, that I've seen online, they all have an exceptional level of self-awareness. This highlighter sucks. Red looks better. They have an astronomical level of self-awareness where they know themselves so well that it's literally like they can self-reflect so well that all of their trading issues just disappear. Right, and they've built that over time because they know the only person that can actually fuck this up is yourself. So you've only got yourself to blame for literally everything. And psychology doesn't just affect your trading, it basically is your trading. Two people can have the exact same strategy, exact same checklist, exact same concepts and everything. Same risk, same everything. But the difference is going to be how they, number one, interpret that strategy. Number two, how they actually perform. So how do we identify these patterns and how do we stop them from happening? You journal, number one. If you don't journal, you should. Go and look at your last 20 trades that you've taken that maybe you look back on and they didn't actually fit your plan. They didn't fit your system at all. You were just trading out of one of these three, trying to get external validation, which, believe it or not, people do. Fear-based patterns or an ego-based pattern. And ask yourself when you're looking at these trades, what actually went wrong? What do all of these trades have in common? And it's usually never random. There's always a consistently an emotional state behind all of these bad trades. And it's why it's important when you're journaling, you're not just collecting data on set trade outcome. You're actually assessing your own performance and seeing how you actually perform in the live markets. Because that's all that matters, is how well you perform. That's what's going to determine if you make it or not. And if you can't perform, you're fucked. So you really need to ask yourself, what were you feeling right before you broke that rule or made a bad decision? Were you bored? Were you frustrated? Were you anxious, or were you overconfident? A lot of the time it can be boredom, but a lot of the time it is frustration, where you've just taken a loss and you don't want to end the day red. It's something that I couldn't stomach either, was finishing the day red in my early days. So I had to try and chase that, and then I'd be down another 2 or 3 trades. Or, the anxiety kicks in because you don't want to miss that move. You don't want to miss the next move. And it might not even be the move, right? This might not even be the move, but you're so anxious that you might miss it. And sometimes you can even just be distracted or tired, or trading at a time where you usually wouldn't trade. And a lot of these common triggers are just FOMO, the need to be right, frustration, comparison, comparing yourself to others, and boredom. And it all comes down to the same 5 or 6 triggers. And for you specifically, it might be 1 to 2 triggers on repeat, time and time again. A good exercise you can do this week or next week, whenever you want to, write this down, put it into your journal. Write 1 sentence about how you felt before you entered, and then you'll start seeing the pattern. And so the whole idea of this is to track what this trigger actually is, and then play into it. One of the most common ones, I would say, is probably fear-based patterns. So it will look like you hesitating on entries, closing winners too early, not trusting your own analysis, watching a setup play out exactly how you called it, but you weren't in it. And it comes from your own self-worth trying to be right. It's like taking the trade means you could be wrong, and that's like a personal stab at you. And the market will not care, as I've said many times before in previous videos, and probably every video. The market would not care. It rewards execution and not ego. And this is what makes it kind of tricky, because it disguises itself as discipline. And you tell yourself you're being patient, you're waiting for a better setup, but deep down, you know the real reason why you didn't take it. It's because you actually, you sat there and hesitated. That's all it is. And if that's you, then it's not a strategy problem, it's that you don't trust yourself to follow it. You probably had, stretches or where you've demo traded or back tested, and then as soon as real money is on the line or a funded account is on the line, everything kind of changes. And it's that gap between practice and live is that fear kicking in. And the way out of this isn't to force yourself to take every trade, because it sounds counterproductive, but it's not to kind of force yourself to take every single trade. It's to trade small enough that, you know, being wrong doesn't feel like the end of the world, and rebuild trust with yourself gradually over time. And, you know, we've all had that trade where you sit there on the chart, you're looking at it for like half an hour, and you've talked yourself out of it. In like you overanalyze, and then comes to your zone, and then you just sit out because you think it's not going to play out, and then it does. And then that's that fear pattern at work. Now, if fear-based traders don't take enough trades, these guys, the ego-based patterns, take too many, especially the wrong trades. Now, this one will look like revenge trading, refusing to take a stop loss, so altering your stop loss, changing your rules, moving your stop further away, just to give it a little bit more breathing room, just in case, just in case. And kind of oversizing after a loss to make it back faster, or just trying to reduce that stop loss as much as you can to generate the most risk to reward. And it almost comes from treating your profit and loss like a scorecard of who you are as a person. Right? If it's up, it's good. Down, it's bad, obviously. And it all comes back to the same things. Like, losing a trade is like an attack on your personal self. It's like like your brain cannot physically sit with that, so it will demand action. And this is the pattern that just blows accounts. Not so much in one trade, but more in a sequence. And one loss leads to revenge trade, which leads to another, which leads to, double the risk, and then just constantly a snowball effect, basically. And the worst part, like, I'm very guilty of this. This was one of my main issues. And the worst part, you know when it's you know what's happening, and you know when it's happening. While everything's happening, you literally know what's happening. And you feel yourself spiraling, but you have like this urge to fix it so strong that you just can't stop. Like, you physically can't stop. A losing trade isn't really, it isn't at all a personal failure. But a revenge trade is a choice. And that's the one that's actually costly. Which I think people get discouraged a lot by that, because they take a loss. And then that hinders their confidence, number one. But it could have been a valid loss. And then they just try and revenge trade that back. So then they don't trust their system, they don't trust their self even more. But the real cost is that revenge trade. It's not the initial loss. And if this is you need physical separation after you lose a trade. The way I stopped this, because this is what resonated with me a lot, I would just take the loss and close MetaTrader, close TradingView, go read a book for half an hour, or go watch a YouTube video, or just take your mind off. Even if you followed your plan, go and reward yourself with something. Like, whatever you go play a game, or go on PlayStation, do something to reward yourself for following your system. If you didn't follow your plan, don't do this. And don't try and justify that you did, alright? I know some cunts out there would, but walk away from the screen, even if it's just 5 minutes. The goal here is to break the chain before your emotions make that next decision for you. And like, professionals lose money constantly. You know, the best traders will be down maybe 10k in a day. And that's just how it goes. That's just what it is. The difference is they don't let that one loss dictate their next trade. And that's all it is. Not letting that one loss dictate what you do next. As simple as it sounds, it's very tough to break that cycle. Now, this one is kind of sneaky, external validation. It doesn't always look like a problem on the surface. And you know what this looks like? It looks like following every guru, posting the trade straight away, posting it on Instagram, in Discord, like everywhere, posting any kind of trade that you take as soon as it's happened, because you're like, oh, or as soon as price moves in your direction, you're posting the photo. And then say price is here, you've just bought here, right? You post the trade while it's here, and then boom, the next minute you're fucked. That hurts. That takes such a blow to your self-image that people don't actually see. And it kind of comes from not actually trusting your own process. So you're posting it saying, is this good? Or you're asking questions about a trade that you're already in. And if that's you, go back to work. But you kind of see someone posting a huge win and suddenly your own progress will feel worthless. And it kind of creates this cycle of you seeing someone's results, or you don't even know the full picture as well. They could be in 10% drawdown. They could take a 5% win and they're posting it. Oh, guys, look. And you kind of, it gets to a point where you're doubting your own approach. And you never give. And it kind of gets to a point where you start strategy hopping. Another thing I was guilty of. And you see like other people's results with different strategies. Oh, what is that? What is that? You're trying to find like something externally. And you never give anything long enough to work out. And you know, as I said in like the last video, you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's best moments. And that fucks with your decision making in real time. You can take trades that you wouldn't normally take because it feels like you need to keep up. You need to take a trade today. You need to get that funded account. This guy's just got like 5 top step accounts and I've only got 1. I need more. And the only real benchmark that you should have is your own progress. And that's it. Nobody else's. Nothing else. This is why, might be a hot take, but this is why when I see like, and look, I'm all for people posting content and whatnot, but when I see people posting themselves learning how to trade, it's like, yeah, good for you. I'm behind you, but like, it's just gonna fuck with you more than anything else, and it's really gonna hinder your progress. That's my opinion. Obviously might be different in some cases, but you know, especially these days where every motherfucker is just trying to post something that they're a trader. Like they're trying to get that validation from other people to try and prove something that they're working. And reality is nobody really cares. And the only thing that you should be worried about is yourself. Especially with content. And if you want to post content, like, I understand. I just think posting your journey of something is fucking dumb. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's just like if you're not posting content providing value, just stay in your lane until you actually know what you're talking about and how to provide that value. That's just a little side rant, but I don't know why it doesn't annoy me, but I think it really will. There will be a lot of traders that have done this and they will quit very easily. Like all these people live stream, like you got people live streaming trading now. It's fucked. The whole the industry as a whole is fucked. But anyway, how do we actually overcome these? All of these. Straight up, what I talked about before, journaling. And not just your trades, but your emotions and your performance as a whole. Which I was thinking about creating some kind of PDF or some kind of template. I might have time to do it and I'll chuck it in the description if I haven't. If it's not there, I might post it on Instagram or something. We'll see. But anyway, most people will just journal. Oh, that's another good video idea. How to actually journal. Because I feel like people don't know how to journal. Anyway. Most people will just journal entries, exits, profit loss, their system checklist or whatever. And that's more of a trade log. Not really a journal, right? A real journal will capture what you did before the trade, how you felt. Did you follow your rules? If not, why not? And what was going on in your head? It doesn't have to be like an essay. You don't have to be sitting there for hours saying, oh, this and this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. Just something short, 1 or 2 sentences per trade about your mental state is probably enough. And then over like a week or 2, maybe 3 weeks to a month, if you actually consistently do this and then do like a monthly or like a weekly recap of your journal, and then you'll start to see, at first you'll only really catch the damage after it's done, and that's normal. Like, it still counts. And then once you've kind of seen this pattern, this cycle, then you'll start catching it mid-trade or mid-trading session, and you'll feel that impulse, but you know how it goes. Even if, let's say you do try it, you stop yourself from over-trading, but the way you entered was going to be a win, even though it didn't follow your rules. Because trust me, it happens, and you're like, fuck, I should have just done that. But no, you shouldn't have. Like, that hurts as well. That's one thing that hurts as well. But eventually you'll catch it before you act, and that's where and once you build that habit of catching it before you act, that's when you become like fucking unstoppable. And think of it like a gap. Right now there's, there's no space between the trigger that you have and the reaction. Right, the whole goal is to widen this gap, the trigger and the reaction. Right, so your trigger can be over here, your reaction, that's a crazy T. Right, we need to widen this gap between the trigger and the reaction. Basically. Get this out of the way. And over time, once that becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, that's where you actually start to scale, and that's where you start to see real growth. And again, it's not about being emotionalist. It's not about being fucking, stoic as. That's just not realistic, and that's not the goal that we want to achieve. It's about being aware enough that your emotions inform you instead of control you. And this isn't me trying to be like, it's not like it's not like motivational bullshit. It's like the actual difference between, where you are, stuck in this rut, to where you want to be, having an equity curve like this, right? It's just how it goes. And right, people, people just don't talk about this shit. I mean, I don't watch content, so I don't know if people do or not, so I can't really say that, but you have to be honest with yourself about where you are, name this pattern, and then build around it, feed into it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got a form down below, if you want to fill it out. I'm going to create like a little newsletter thing that I'll post weekly. Maybe in the next 2 weeks it'll be sorted out, but I think that's, yeah. Fuck it, that's it.